Welcome to the Missouri Leadership Development System On-Demand Principal Leadership Series. I'm Mike Rutherford, and I'm happy to be your host and guide for this on-demand series. The MLDS, Missouri Leadership Development System, is a comprehensive set of professional learning experiences designed by and for Missouri school leaders. This on-demand series is intended to preview, complement, and introduce a few of the nearly 100 leadership lessons that are contained in the Missouri Leadership Development System curriculum. Each episode of our on-demand series will have three components: a short video where I attempt to explain the leadership concept, a PDF file of written materials that will support each lesson, and a podcast so that you can engage with each leadership lesson in a mobile fashion should you decide to do that. We hope you'll find this on-demand series not only convenient and accessible, but also powerful and productive. Information on how you can engage in the full spectrum of MLDS leadership learning can be found at dese.mo.gov. There's also a complete listing of all of the MLDS specialists for your region in the PDF file that accompanies each episode. Thank you for participating. Welcome to the MLDS On-Demand Principal Leadership Series. This is Episode 5, Reading and Shaping School Culture. So, culture, organizational culture. We know that is the most powerful determiner of human behavior in any organization, including schools. Not the weekly memo, not policy manuals, not strategic plans, but organizational culture. Peter Drucker has an interesting quote on culture. You've heard it probably. It goes like this: "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." So we know as school leaders, we want to be effective, we want to be productive, and we want to be successful. It's hard to imagine how to do any of those things without a pretty good command of how to read and shape organizational culture. The MLDS program is replete with many culture learning opportunities. 8 separate treatments in all of the MLDS guides. We're going to take a look today just at an introduction, just a quick preview of 2 elements of school culture: how to read it and how to change it, how to shape it. Reading and shaping school culture. Let's talk first about assessing it. You really can't change something unless you can see it, unless you can spot it in the wild. Here are some strategies, 3 ways, really, as a school leader, that we can improve our skills at assessing, reading, really seeing school culture. Number 1, study the physical setting. Not so much the architecture of your building, perhaps, but how have the humans altered the physical setting? You know, it's sort of like an anthropologist would go back and study an ancient civilization. We can learn a lot about ancient cultures by watching, looking, studying how did the human beings alter their physical environment. What's on the walls? What's in the display cases? You know, as you walk through a school building, you can actually get a pretty good sense of the culture simply by studying and seeing the physical environment. I think a really good idea for school administrators who want to sharpen their culture assessment skills: take a few field trips. Ask some colleagues of yours if you can stop by their school at any time during the day and just take a quick walk around. Take a look. What's similar to your school? What's different? When we're in someone else's building, often these culture signals in the physical environment can stand out to us. You know what's another good idea? Invite some colleagues to come to your school and walk around your physical setting with them. They'll be likely able to spot things that perhaps you've been overlooking for years. Strategy number 2, interview newcomers. So whenever you hire a new employee, there's an open window. Maybe it lasts for 30 days, maybe it lasts for a couple of months. The window will soon close, but while the window is open, this person has an outsider's eyes. So it's a really good idea, whether it's a new family to your school, whether it's a new teacher or a new staff member, take advantage of when people have newcomers' eyes. The Effective Schools researcher Larry Lazat had a quote that I think is really important here. I'd like to share it with you. He says this: "You cannot improve a school from the outside." And he says, "You cannot improve a school from the inside." To improve a school, you must be an insider with the eyes of an outsider. That makes sense, doesn't it? So one of the ways we can get this insider-outsider duality going for us as we assess our school's culture is to make sure we're quizzing and talking with and getting information from any people that are new to our school. Number 3, take a look at how your school's culture adapts to curveballs. So a curveball, of course, is just a metaphor for something unexpected. Watch how your school's culture adapts to new people. Someone comes in the front office making a request that's not usual. A new personality or a new person joins your faculty. Watch how the culture adjusts to them. Sometimes culture can be invisible. It can be pretty much in the background. Curveballs or unexpected, unusual happenings cause that school's culture to take the foreground for just a moment. And if you're a pretty insightful school administrator, you can learn something about your school's culture by watching how it responds to these unexpected happenings, these curveballs. Let's go to the second topic of today, which is shaping school culture. How as a leader to actually improve your school's culture, change your school's culture, emphasize certain areas of your school's culture. I used to be a high school chemistry teacher, and one of the things you know about chemistry, we all know about chemistry, is that a substance has properties. And if you want to change the properties of a substance, you have to change that which the substance is made of. We look towards the elements, right? So the periodic table is a list of elements that can combine with one another to create substances that have specific properties. Want to change the properties? You have to change the substance. Want to change the substance? You have to see and change and swap out the elements. Here are 4 elements of school culture. There are many of these, but these are 4 that are particularly, we think, productive for being able to change or shape culture. Number 1, heroes. Take a look at who are the heroes of your school. Who are the faculty members that everyone looks up to? Who are the iconic personalities in your building? You can tell a lot about a culture by looking at who the human capital in the building, who they hold up as having the right stuff. A really good question to ask as a school administrator is not only who are the heroes of my building, but how do I feel about that? Are these people, do they have the right stuff? Take a look at who the heroes are on your faculty. They go a long way towards determining. Change the heroes, re-emphasize the nature of certain people that are iconic, and you can shape the culture. Number 2, events shape culture. Things happen at school. And watching how the school administration and the adults in the building particularly respond to these happenings gives the rest of the community a pretty good insight to our culture. So events come in 2 categories, planned and unplanned. We can plan an event that shapes our culture. A school might say, let's have a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. essay contest in January. It's a planned event. It has a planned impact on the school's culture. Often though, school cultures are mightily shaped by unplanned events, things that just happen. And really now, what everyone is looking at is, how does the school, and especially the school's leadership, how do they respond to these unexpected events? How you respond to things that surprise you and surprise your school goes a long way towards being able to shape culture. Number 3, take a look at the rituals that are happening in your school on a daily basis. Now by ritual, I don't mean something mystic and mysterious. A good definition of a ritual is just anything that happens on a regular basis. So morning announcements are rituals. Eating lunch is a ritual. Getting on the bus in the afternoon, those are all the rituals. Rituals are always imbued with culture-shaping messages. So if you want to shape culture, attach a little culture-shaping message to things that happen on a regular basis, to these rituals. If morning announcements are already happening every day, think about what would be a school culture-shaping attachment you might make to the morning announcements. It isn't that one single serving of that changes culture appreciably right away. You know, the great thing about rituals is they happen on a regular, repeated basis. And so it's a way of shaping culture over time. Number 4, take a look at what your school chooses to celebrate. Let's call these ceremonies. Whenever a school takes time to recognize something or recognize someone, have a little bit of break from the schedule, if there are ever any refreshments available, you're looking at a ceremony. And you can tell a lot about a school's culture by what they choose to celebrate. What drives your ceremonies? I would invite you and challenge you to do a ceremony inventory. Take a look at all the different ceremonies and say, what is it that this says about what's important to us at our school? I know a school that did a ceremony inventory, and one of the insights they gained from doing that was that they had multiple ceremonies for student achievement. Good idea, right? But they also noticed that they had 0 ceremonies for student improvement. So lots of honor roll ceremonies, lots of 95% or higher on test scores ceremonies. What they decided is that student improvement was just as important to them as achievement. And so they started a few ceremonies where students are recognized for making improvements, for bringing up their grades. You know, as school administrators, we are called on to do a lot in the domain of the technical, right? The managerial, and that's good. We have to make good on those challenges. But really where we are able to shape school culture, we are able to make a longer lasting, legacy providing impact on our school. School culture is the set of invisible forces that either fuel or freeze your school's improvement journey. So as we think about how to read it and how to shape it, these are some strategies that can help us be ever more successful. Thanks for participating.